My name is Jeff Tang. So I want to give you a little background on myself. So I am a University of Buffalo graduate with a degree in exercise science. And my original intention was to go into PT school. And as becoming a PT aide before going to PT school, I was kind of being exposed to the environment. And I started to realize that's not something I really wanted to do. So I reached out to my aunt, where she was a PA in this EP world, where she kind of introduced me to what devices were and what EP was as a whole. That's where I was able to shadow a few sales reps that, to see what their day-to-day life was and what their what devices were. And that's where I was introduced about PrepMD. And I think what's great about PrepMD is it's a very structured program to really learn about the basics that take a lot of time to learn. And being graduated from PrepMD and being hired by Abbott on the CRM side, it really helped me, really flourish and just learning the basics and being able to, be on my own, doing device checks and implants much faster than, like my other colleagues that came with no background. So I think that's definitely something that PrepMD really helped me, and I really wouldn't be where I am without it. And since I worked for Abbott about a year and change, and recently I switched over to a role working as a clinical specialist for Medtronic as in the crowd division. And the reason I kind of did that was because I enjoyed both devices in EP and I wanted to grow my skill set. But also on the AF side of it, atrial fibrillation, is that it's really growing, and there's a lot of research going on, and it's just definitely a much faster growing market. And I wanted to jump in while it's still relatively new compared to devices. And I've enjoyed it. And I think the greatest thing about all of that is that, you're really trying to help these patients, feel better. And the great thing is that there's so much more to learn to really help these patients. What I really like about my job right now is that it's not your typical 9-to-5 job. Every day is going to be different. Some days are longer than others. So definitely, the flexibility is something that I do enjoy, and also the experience of working with doctors and also patients. I always think that is also really good. And once you build that rapport with the staff and the doctors and these patients, they value your opinions, which I think is definitely something that's fairly unique. Because once you start working with a doctor and they trust you, you can start giving advice, different techniques that, they will actually start using. And I think that's just cool that, a doctor that went through all the schooling still values what you have to say. Really wouldn't be here without PrepMD. And the reason I say that is because they have such a great structured program with great instructors that have a lot of experience. And I think that experience really showed, when we would come in, they would show us life scenarios that really could happen, especially when I was working on the CRM side, is because that it takes experience to really show how to interpret certain ways to, troubleshoot something that's malfunctioning on these pacemakers. And they really guided us on how to kind of interpret it and follow steps that really, really handle each situation. I mean, each situation is going to be different, but they kind of gave us a great basics of how to do that. And also just obviously give us the knowledge of the basics of devices itself, which, like I said, takes quite some time to learn, especially for people that didn't have any background. And I definitely, like I said, wouldn't be able to grow as fast as I did with Abbott without this. And then I would assume this role with Medtronic wouldn't have happened without me being decent at my job at Abbott CRM.